Hello friends, namaste. Welcome all of you to my channel. Today let's discuss about how we could calculate the portfolio risks and the portfolio return. When we take the reference of portfolio management concept provided by Harry Markowitz 1952, the basic purpose of the investor is to diversify the risks, for which reason investor try to optimize the return and invest in more than one asset case. Then that is nothing, that is the portfolio. Anyway, based on this background, let's move to the question first. We have a probability distribution. You can see this is the 0.3, 0.5, 0.2. Remember, whole sum of probability would be the 1, while we have a rate of return on stock X, that's a 10%, 20%, 30%, while return on stock Y, we have about 25, 15 and 5%. Now the question is about what would be the first question is about your expected return and the risks of stock X and Y. Second question is about your covariance of return between X and Y, and also find the correlation coefficient. Even though you are not asked to find the question number 2, then if you are asked to find the portfolio return, portfolio risks, I mean to say that, then you need to find in working note covariance and the correlation coefficient. Now, what about the question number 3, the portfolio expected return and the portfolio risks? If 20% of the fund is invested in a stock X, that means rest in the Y, that's 80% would be invested in the Y. Now, is it risk minimizing portfolio? Now, based on this background, now your first question is that we need to calculate expected return, because without knowing the expected return, you cannot find your risks, even the case of portfolio as well. Then simply you can say that that's the prob is the probability into 10%. Okay, now what about our total sum? We can say that sum total. Sum is simply you take sum by using the Excel is the 19%. Now, what about our probability into RY? I mean to say that expected return for Y stock. Then same process you can follow here, probability, and just multiply with the respective rate of return, that's 25%. Then you just drag it. Now you could see your sum. I will just drag here. That's a 16% is our expected return for Y, while 19% in X. Now next question is about what about the risks? Risks is all about variation from the mean value. When we have a probability distribution, then we just calculate Rx minus ER, the R bar X, you can say that square into probability. Then again you do the same process here. We have a R is 10 minus expected return on X. Then here remember, because you are going to use the expected return for the 3 cell, so we have a wonderful function in Excel. You can use the dollar function, so that formula automatically calculate whatever you would like to do. Okay, then this is whole to the power 2 into probability. Then select your probability distribution, that is the 0.3. Okay, then you just enter it, then you just drag it. Now what about our sum here? Sum of this value is nothing, that is the variance on stock X. So if variance is 49%, remember, then simply you can say that SQRT function is there. square root of 49 would be my standard deviation, because we have a measures of risks is all about variance of return, and the next one is that standard deviation, square root of variance. Yeah, third one is also coefficient of variation. As per need, you can also find it. Now let's move to the next one, that is the RY. We have RY is 25% minus, then its average is here 16. As we did in the last time also for X, here also you could use the dollar functions, so that automatically formula will provide your results. Okay, now then whole to the power square into, you can say that again probability. You have to be careful while calculating the value. Okay, then what about its, just you can see here, I will just erase it. Okay, okay, now drag it. So your sum value would be, because I already defined the equation, I could drag it. Okay, this is, yeah, I would use the sum here. Yeah, you could also drag it, you can find it, right? Okay, again anyway is 49%, and that is why when you say SQRT function in Excel, that is a square root of variance, again we have a 7%. Okay, I have used the two equations, so Excel will not do it. Okay, 7%. That means 16% is the Y expected return. This is the for X, and we have a standard deviation 7% for both cases. Okay. Now, what about the next one is that how we calculate the our next value. Okay. The next question is about the covariance. Covariance of return between X and Y. Then again this is our main equation for the covariance. When we have a probability distribution, then simply is the Rx minus expected return on X minus Ry minus expected return on Y into probability. That is, I mean to say that Rx is, we have again Rx is this minus Erx is this value. Again I would use here dollar functions so that I could manage my calculations. I don't need to define the equation time and again. Then is the into, again next one is the for Y. Y is the 25 minus, you can say here this is for 16%. So again you have to use here dollar functions. Okay. Then we have a into respective probability, that is the 0.3. Okay, I would enter it. Then is the, then you just sum it. Yeah, you just drag it first of all, your whole calculations, and that is why you would have a covariance. I mean to say that this will be the sum of this value. Select your whole observation. Okay, that is the 49% is my covariance. Remember friends, covariance will just study the movement of the stock. For example, we have a negative, it means that if X is upward, then Y would be the downward. Okay, is the opposite direction, I mean to say that. Now what about the correlation coefficient? Its value lies between +1 and the -1. And you have to again recall this equation. Covariance, we already calculated this value divided by standard deviation of X is, okay, I could use the bracket here, 7% into this 7. I already calculated. Okay, that's the -1 is that is the correlation coefficient. Remember friends, when your covariance is negative, then no doubt your correlation coefficient will be also negative. But it states your relationship between X and Y stock. There exists perfectly negative relationship, I mean to say that. Now let's move to the main our understanding level is that third question is about if you are going to invest in X 20% and rest in Y, that's 80%, then what would be your portfolio expected return? So this is the case of two asset case. Then your portfolio return would be simply proportion of investment is 20% in X, then your return is 13%, you already calculated, plus is the 80% is the 0.8, total weight would be 100%, then this is 16. That is why your 16.6% would be my portfolio expected return, which is noted by ERP. Okay. Now what about the portfolio risks? Because when you are investing in even in more than one assets, one stock, it doesn't mean that you don't have risks. You would have a risk, but the risk would be minimum, I mean to say that. Now how we calculate variance of the portfolio case? Then you have to recall this equation. I would explain again. That is your weight of X square, okay, square into variance of X. Variance of X we already calculated, this one. Then you can say here plus W2 square, that is proportion of investment in Y into is the variance of Y. Variance of Y is that this 49% again is already we calculated. Then we say that plus 2 into W1 W2, and next one is that is the covariance. So we already calculated the covariance of Rx and Ry, that is the 40, this is one is the 49. Okay, then you just close your bracket and just enter it. So we came to know that 17.64 is my variance. Similarly, you can say that standard deviation of the portfolio is SQRT function you can use here. Then okay, that's a 4.2% is my standard deviation. The basic your crux of this portfolio concept is that when you are going to invest in more than one investment option, like in this case of X and Y, you could minimize the risks and optimize your return. That is the basic understanding level. Okay friends, these are the things that I would like to share today. If you have any questions related to understanding level, please let me know through your comment. I am expecting your feedback. In coming days, I will be discussing how we could say that is it risk minimizing portfolio. Then I obviously say that this is not a risk minimizing portfolio. For risk minimizing portfolio, as suggested by Markowitz in 1952, we have to find the optimal weight, that is the proportion of investment in X and Y. Then in that case, risk would be 0. In coming days, I will be discussing the particularly risk minimizing portfolio, including efficient frontier concept. Thank you all of you for watching this video. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and also share this channel. Thank you all of you. Please take care.